WSBA Morning News, and we're joined this morning by Senator Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania, who joins us each month. Good morning, Senator. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. Good to have you aboard. Let's get to it right away. The ongoing challenges, I've seen some of the things you've had to say about it. Here in Pennsylvania, obviously, we've had the Supreme Court, state Supreme Court, have turned down challenge after challenge by the president here to overturn some of the results, or at least to stay some of the certification. We're seeing some of that. What are your thoughts right now in the challenges, not only here in Pennsylvania, but around the country?
Well, it's not just the state courts, Gary, right? It's a U.S. federal court. The Judge Matthew Brand from the Middle District, a conservative Republican judge who dismissed the lawsuits. It was then appealed to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, a 3-judge panel, all 3 of whom were Republicans, one of whom was a Donald Trump appointee to the circuit court. All 3 rejected the lawsuit because here's the problem. I mean, the president absolutely has every right to contest any disputed ballots, any fraud for which they have evidence. But unfortunately, they've gone into the courtrooms without evidence. And that's why these cases have all been dismissed. There aren't any exceptions. It's Republican judges as well as Democrat judges. It's federal courts as well as state courts. So I just think we've gotten to the end of the plausible opportunities to challenge these results, Gary, and they're not going to change. So it's time to accept the inevitable. This can happen in an election. It is possible to lose. In fact, one side does every single time we have one. And part of this process is to recognize when that happens. So that's not to say there weren't irregularities. There are irregularities in every election. It happens. I'd like to see changes in the rules. I think Pennsylvania, frankly, would do well to go back to the way we've always done elections. For over 200 years, people voted in person. And unless you have if you got a good, compelling reason why you can't vote in person, okay, that's fine. And that has always been available. And you could vote by absentee ballot if you met that criteria. I think that's a way that gives people more confidence. I hope we'll be able to go back to that.
Yeah, when you sign your name in person, I think there's something about that. Is the president now doing damage to things? For example, we got 2 Georgia Senate runoff races coming up on January 5th. Obviously, the body in which you work is going to be affected by that. You're either going to have 52 to 48 or it's going to be 50-50. Your thoughts about those 2 races and what this is doing to those right now?
Well, let's be clear. It's not just about my work in this body. This is about the country. If we lose those races in Georgia, then the radical left runs America. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, Joe Biden may not have grown up in that wing of the party, but that's where all the energy is. That's where all the pressure comes from. That's where he will be dragged. So everything that we have been afraid of, the radical left movement on cultural issues, on the tax policies, economic policies, expanding the court, adding new states to the union, all of that becomes possible if we lose these races in Georgia. And I don't know what the effect. My understanding from a distance, now I do talk to my colleagues who are running in that state, David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, terrific senators. And my sense from them is it's extremely close. Very, very close race. And, on off days, on special elections that occur in early January, turnout is usually a challenge. I don't know whether turnout will be the challenge this time, and I don't know whether one side will be more motivated than the other, but we need those 2 Republicans to win to prevent a radical left agenda from just bulldozing its way through Washington.
And I know of people, for example, my own area, a guy goes to my own church who's down working in Georgia now. There are a lot of people working in that state for this next month or so to try to affect the outcome. It has become ground zero for where America is looking right now. And I just saw this morning that they actually are checking because some of the progressive groups are apparently trying to get people to either take up residence in that state or to apply for a votership across state lines. So there's all kinds of things going on right now, or things that are being said that are being going on, or perceived things going on, which certainly brings, again, a cloudiness to this whole kind of election coming up on January 5th.
Which all goes back to why a simple, straightforward process, which includes voting in person in the vast majority of cases, is really the way that you avoid all these problems and all this nonsense. There's no question there are huge numbers of people on the ground on both sides campaigning. I'm not aware of what sort of shenanigans may be going on, but I would think that there's a tremendous amount of scrutiny in Georgia right now. So I certainly hope that there's nothing on a significant scale that shouldn't be going on.
Yeah, there are apparently three groups: America Votes, Vote Forward, and the New Georgia Project. They've been encouraging people who lived outside Georgia to register to vote in the state. That was the accusation, and that's illegal voting, obviously.
Well, not only that,
it's being checked into right now. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a felony if you go to a state and you pretend that you are intending to be a permanent resident of that state and therefore you register to vote, when in fact you're doing it just to vote in a particular election and then go back home, you've committed a felony, and those should be prosecuted. If we catch people doing that, that's illegal, and there need to be very severe consequences.
I was looking at numbers this morning, and 80 point whatever number million of people voted for Joe Biden. 73.9 million people voted for Donald Trump, the two highest numbers we've had in history.
Yeah.
But I look at where they voted, though. For example, 6 million of that 7 million number are in California in terms of the popular vote, which tells me that pretty much, and then another million plus is in New York. So if you take those two large states and you take them off the table, the rest of the country's pretty much split down the middle. Tell me very quickly about the dynamics in the Senate and the House and how you see governing going for the next 2 years, because there really is no clear mandate to go out and govern with one particular philosophy, is there?
Well, I think the mandate was a clear rejection of the radical left's, lurch by the Democrats, these new woke leftists who think that we shouldn't have police in our big cities. We just let them, let anarchy run amok, and all the rest of their agenda. Remember, this was supposed to be a big blue wave, right?
Right.
The House was the Democrats were supposed to pick up seats in the House, take control of the Senate, win legislatures across the country, and all of that was supposed to happen, and none of that happened. Joe Biden narrowly won, and it looks like we're going to hold on to the Senate, despite the fact that we had to defend so many very, very tough seats in so many tough states. We won almost all of them. We picked up seats in the U.S. House. We picked up seats in the State House. We are going to be at worst even in the Pennsylvania State Senate. We didn't lose a single legislature. So I don't know how you could draw a conclusion that America is embracing the radical left. Yeah, there's pockets of California and New York that do, but America certainly didn't, and we saw it at the polls. But despite all that, if we lose these two races in Georgia, then the left wins. And Katie bar to the door. I mean, they will pursue this agenda because the Democratic Congress people are all afraid of a Democratic primary challenge from the radical left that they could lose.
We will see what happens here in the long run, Senator. We're out of time, but appreciate you joining us this morning. And since we won't be talking to you again until probably the new year, we wish you a very Merry Christmas, a great holiday season, and all the best for the new year. We'll look forward to talking to you again in January.
Well, Merry Christmas to you too, Gary. Take care.